NFL news is happening around us as well. I'm incredibly pumped that this Hard Knocks is doing the AFC North. Now, it's not just me, obviously. It lives and dies with ball. The Talks the Tables here at Boston Connor and at Ty Schmidt. AFC North, special place you're learning about a little bit, I think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, you always think with the NFC North at least that, like, oh, it's kind of similar in terms of, like, the cold weather and everything like that. But Hard Knocks, when they do it in season, when it's not just, like, all these stories that in the end we don't really care about, it's guys who are barely going to be able to make the team, like, seeing Tomlin talk with guys who are going to be, like, have crucial points in winning games on Sundays every single week, and these other coaches too, like, it's just incredible. It like you said, like, you know, I think everyone kind of has an idea of what goes on in these buildings, especially with social media now. But then you watch this and you really do get like when are you ever going to be able to see inside the Steelers building? Like, Tomlin doesn't seem like the rah, like, he's not always looking for a camera and giving one of those like candy-ass interviews or whatever. Like, what we're seeing with them every single week, like, it really is like you got to cherish it and appreciate it, because I don't know how many more opportunities we're going to be able to see like an unfiltered look like this with these teams. It just doesn't happen often.
Yeah, we have no idea if the offseason Hard Knocks is going to happen again with what happened with the Giants.
Right.
We have no idea if anybody's going to be okay with it. We have no idea if in division Hard Knocks is going to be good going forward, if everybody is going to be okay with it. But what we're seeing is majestic. And it's not just, I mean, the Steelers are definitely
steal the show, right? It's not just them.
Steelers steal the show.
Exactly.
Okay, and Ravens are on a bye, so there wasn't much from them. And obviously the Steelers are currently leading the division and on their way playing better ball than they have in a long time. And they've won 2 now divisional games in Hard Knocks. So that is kind of their show.
At least has been so far.
Yeah, going forward. But it's been nice to see how, you know, Zach Taylor operates and the way he talks and the truthfulness in which he speaks to his team. Harbaugh obviously addressing things. And then Stefanski. I haven't minded watching Stefanski kind of do his thing. Because when you're on a team that doesn't have a chance, now how do you motivate? 9-year NFL vet, Darius J. Butler is here. Did you see that speech from Shelby Harris last night? If you didn't, here it is from the defensive meeting room. It might be front 7, I'm not 100% sure. Whenever a coach, D-line coach, looks around the room and says, all right, does anybody have anything to say to the rest of the group about how we finished the season when technically nothing is on the line? Is anything on the line? Myles Garrett and Shelby Harris give answers.
I'm just going to be honest with y'all. You know what it is. You know, when you get into part of the season like this, you're not just playing for this year, you're playing for next year. You're playing for your life in the league. You know, teams going to evaluate all this shit and look and see who you are. If they need to go draft somebody in your position, if they need to let you go and bring somebody else in, I'm just going to be, because it's just the honest truth about it. This is evaluation period. And this is not the time to let shit down. This is actually time to raise your play to show that you could be the guy, that you are the solution, not part of the problem. This is what they're looking at. This is just the God's honest truth. This is what they're looking at. Are you part of the solution, or are you part of the problem? This next couple weeks is truly just an audition. Livelihoods.
And then he kind of just drifts away.
Yeah.
Kind of, like cinematic there at the end, the way he delivered it. But it was a very real message.
Yeah.
I think Shelby OG was kind of looking around the room, letting people know, like, hey, it's not guaranteed that we have jobs next year. And that was kind of what he was laying out. Those welcome to the NFL, this is a business, not a sport anymore, moments are huge, I think.
Yeah, it was, you always get either from a coach or from an OG, hey, nobody's on scholarship anymore. Now, college is such a business. Now it's a little bit different. I'm sure these guys, are a little more on point when it comes to that. But, yeah, when you get to this point in the season, you got 4 or 5 games left. We always joke about it. Hey, guys are planning off-season trips and shipping cars and doing all that shit. But that film is still being graded. Everything is still being evaluated. Are you still showing up early? Are you still getting extra lifts in? Are you still watching that extra film? People are watching. Those coaches, that group, we always said that group will never be the same. They'll be in different buildings. So, you're not only auditioning for that team if you're the problem or the solution for that team, but for the 31 other teams. So it's good when you have an OG like that in the meet room, really laying it out how it really is, because you can see some people somebody on a guaranteed contract, 2-3 more years, 30-40 million left, yeah, they can shut it down, go get a surgery, and they'll be good. But if you're not in that small, very select group, everybody else is kind of on that chopping block.
Be who you can afford to be, I think, is obviously the case. And I think that is why anybody comes out and says, they're tanking. It's like in football, I assume there are some people in buildings that are looking for their team to lose, hoping for their team to lose. You know, personnel groups, ownership groups, whenever it gets to a part of the season where, hey, there's nothing on the line except for maybe draft stock, and maybe there's a big guy coming in the next draft that'll change the trajectory of our entire team in building and city. So, like, whenever we were losing, because Peyton had neck issue that none of us really knew about until training camp, walk into training camp, get summoned down to the training room, go into a back room. Peyton's got wires all out of his neck.
I found out in training camp?
That's what I found out.
Oh, shit.
That's why I found out it was going to be, like, bad. I knew there was something going on, but I walked in, saw that whole thing. He's getting things shocked or whatever. I'm like, holy, are we all right? Gonna be, you know. And then I immediately thought, I said this before, I was not preparing to punt as much as I feel like we're about to punt. And then Kerry Collins gets called in, you know, out of a tree stand, I think he was actually hunting. Then Curtis Painter.
Yep.
Then Dan Orlovsky, inevitably. Mm-hmm. And that whole year, everybody was like, they're sucking for luck. Suck for luck. Fans were even like, yeah.
Jersey's already sold.
Yeah, let's do that. I would just like to let everybody know that was the only season I've ever been around something like that. Everybody in that building did not want to suck. Everybody in that building wanted to do very good so they don't get fired and they don't lose their jobs. So much so the coaches were actually like, hey, our group needs to not be the reason. Okay? Our group needs to not be the reason. So if we lose this game, it is not on my ass. And it is not on yours as well. Like, that is kind of a motivating factor. So to hear Shelby still say that in 2024, it's like, hey, everybody in this room could potentially be selling insurance next year. Okay, we need to remember that. You're getting an opportunity to play in football games. Just like the preseason is like a showcase for some people, but most people, it's just a waste of time. It's like this is almost like this is an extended preseason for some of these guys. Getting real clips, real footage, real highlights, real lowlights. And then whenever you're talking about in the meeting room and in the cafeteria and then training room, equipment manager, it's like, is this guy a real asshole or not? Like in the actual season, they're finding out. So I love Shelby Harris spreading that message, legitimately.
Burrow kind of said something along the same lines too. Like, you know, I think in his post-game presser, like, you know, we'll find out a lot about, you know, the guys that are in this building with the rest of the season, with obviously playoffs not being, you know, there.
Well, and that was one of Zach Taylor's kind of like whole entire things when he was talking to the team earlier in the episode. He was like, hey, what I'm thinking about is the feeling in the locker room after a win. And we haven't had that in 4 months. Like, that's what's motivating me all week. And then to your point about guys who might have like bigger contracts, not kind of, you know, being able to take it easy maybe. Stefanski showed a clip during one of the team meetings of like the 4 or 3 of their highest paid linemen, probably players at this point, still playing. They're like, all these guys on Jameis's first pick six reached their top speeds. And that was another thing, you know, they showed those guys, and I think Njoku dapped up Wyatt Teller during it. But a hilarious part was the Stefanski Jameis sideline during the Broncos game of that cut up before he started slinging those pick sixes around the yard in Denver. It was awesome.
Yeah, Stefanski doing his coaching thing, which is what coaches are supposed to do. Hey, I don't know what we're doing on offense, but we're throwing for 400 yards today, so no matter what we choose to do, let's make sure the ball is in Five's hands. And then literally the next play, pick six. And it's like, damn, like Stefanski. And then Jameis, obviously, that's when he prayed for the Lord to
deliver him from those pick sixes.
Deliver him from pick sixes, which
he did. He threw
picks. Not sixes. And that's the way the good Lord works, you know, mysterious ways in the entirety of it all. I've enjoyed this Hard Knocks a lot, though, but I also like the fact that people who are not in the business, which is why we say things whenever we hear about stuff happening in like a building. Like, hey, this isn't just forever. Now, for some of those guys, somehow it has, you know. And
true.
And they made a lot of money off of it all, and you know, there's some good players in that building, like Colts building. So whenever we hear stuff happening, it's like, this is stupid for you, and this is stupid for everybody to do it. Let's not waste it. Let's go ahead and get after it. And I enjoy that. George Pickens, his hamstring injury. I like to hear George Pickens on the sideline say, man, I want to be playing so bad. I like that. That was a good babyface move by that entire thing. Mike Tomlin coaching up Joey Porter Jr. after having 6 holding or pass interference calls on him the week before, just kind of breaking down like, hey, it's not going to happen as fast as you want it to. It's going to work. We don't change the way we play at all. And then just like walking away while Joey Porter Jr. is putting in his contacts. It's like, that's like great. That's how real coaching is too.
Yeah.
Like, hey, interaction, pump up, also acknowledge, hey, can't be having that happen, need to get better. It's like all those little things I think people are getting an inside look at. A man who was a player and a coach. I don't know if he was ever on Hard Knocks. Should have been. Ladies and gentlemen, Super Bowl champion, AQ Shipley. Hey, Q, you enjoying Hard Knocks? You watching it? Any nostalgia to get back in there and maybe coach or play?
No nostalgia whatsoever. I see it, and
Jeez.
those guys are doing a great job. I hope they continue to do a great job. But my favorite thing is exactly what you just said. My favorite part of watching coaches coach is it's the walks in the hallways, right? It's during the stretching lines before it's like, hey, I can get my message across to you without embarrassing you, without doing this in a way that only you and I need to have, and then we keep it moving.
Yeah, and those little drive-bys or little messages or mantras are, that you said not being embarrassed in front of the crew. There's all those things that happen are acknowledged in front of everybody because they have to be. If they're not acknowledged in front of everybody, you can't acknowledge anybody in front of everybody.
From good coaches though. So I've been in some places where they wouldn't acknowledge like, a big time player, like a starting quarterback, highest paid corner, he gets beat for a touchdown, not giving effort or something like that. Like I've been some places where coach may not do that, and then other places everybody's kind of held to that same standard.
You would assume that you need to point out the obvious here. You would assume that we need to point out the obvious here, and it's like anytime I hit a shank, I knew everybody in the team was going to see that. Everybody was going to see it now. The whole crowd just reacted to it, and tomorrow everybody's going to see it, and it's going to be a can't have this, right? Yep. Yeah. Can't. Yeah. Because everybody needs to know that you're acknowledging it.
Yeah.
But it is the one-on-one conversations.
It is.
The motivation, the lift up. The final thoughts. Like, I'd be jogging on the field, Tom McMahon would be like, hey, remember, bang, and bang. It's like, oh, yeah, good reminder. It's like those little things that are real coaching. And that's why it takes so much effort.
100%. And exactly what you said, the reminders are huge too, because like something might have happened a week ago or 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and like we say in the NFL, like everything lasts for a month, right? And so like they might run a blitz that somebody ran 3 weeks ago, and you're just about to run out in the field, and it's like, hey, just quick reminder, watch that TT, and it's like,
oh, that's good coaching. And then when it happens,
I got depleted by a TT 3 weeks ago. It's like, all right, better get my depth, get back. Right?
All right, we love Hard Knocks, we love the NFL, and we'll certainly get back to that conversation.